I'm a beer hound. Ow! The love affair with beer.
I'm Matt Greff. I am the co-owner of the Arbor Brewing Company in Ann Arbor and the Corner Brewery in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I got into this industry a long time ago, 16 and a half years ago to be exact. And I got into it because I was a passionate home brewer who had studied in Europe in college, in Germany in particular, and absolutely fell in love with full flavored fresh beers before most people in America had even heard of full flavored fresh beers. And came home from Germany and started home brewing and absolutely fell head over heels in love with it, with beer, with the whole process, with the history and traditions. And simultaneous to that, I was working a soul-crushing corporate job that every single day I came home and I was like, I cannot do this for the next 40 years of my life and wait for my retirement. And so I came home one day and told Renee that I wanted to be a professional brewer. Unfortunately, my wife, Renee, who's also my business partner, was completely on board because she had also studied in Europe and completely got the whole concept of a pub, a community gathering place, and more importantly, had the entrepreneurial spirit to dive into something that we were completely unqualified for and for the first few years incapable of pulling off. So we are going to be working on an Arbor Brewing Company India project, which is in Bangalore. And actually we've been working on it for several years now, but now it's under construction and we hope to open, I say that all the time, we hope to open in February of 2012. And that came to be by a student at University of Michigan who was a regular at our Brewpub, Arbor Brewing Company, and he moved home after graduation to Bangalore and emailed us and said, you know, I loved your place, I've since moved back to Bangalore, and I think American style brew pubs would do great in India. And he emailed us and we said, absolutely not. We're right in the middle of opening Corner Brewery in Ypsilanti and didn't have any time, didn't have any money, and said as much to Gaurav. And he pursued it and said, we can structure this any way you want to structure it. And please, you know, come to India, meet me, look at sites, look at locations. And for Renee and I, beer and travel are our two favorite things in the entire world. So the opportunity to couple those together was perfect. So we said, sure, we'll come to India and meet you, thinking nothing would come of it. And we fell head over heels in love with India. We loved our partner and his family. And I thought the concept was great. India is where the United States was back in the late 70s, right when all the laws were changing to allow brew pubs and microbreweries to exist. And the state where we're putting our brew pub just changed its laws last February to allow brew pubs to exist. So we're really getting on the ground floor, and I think with the expat population, the Indian, Western educated young Indian population with disposable income, I think this could be a really big, exciting venture. And it's amazing how the world has turned, that it's American breweries now exporting, American craft breweries exporting what they are, their whole concept, more their personality and their excitement and enthusiasm for beer to the rest of the world, when for, you know, a long time it was Europe, you know, exporting to the US. So I just feel like this is the greatest thing that could happen. Well, when we opened Arbor Brewing Company, we had a very specific experience in mind, even though we did not know how to make that a reality. But we knew what we wanted as an end result. And that was what we had learned in Europe, which was a pub should be the community gathering place. It should be the hub of everything that happens within a community. And we set about making a place that people would feel comfortable sitting for hours on end and just talking and chatting and catching up with neighbors or people walking by on the street, looking in the windows and seeing somebody that they know and coming in for a pint. So we intentionally kept TVs out of the main bar so that people would be forced to focus on each other in their conversation as opposed to being distracted by televisions. And so the whole concept was this kind of communal, community-oriented place. And as a brew pub, that was kind of tough to pull off because you're still a full-fledged restaurant with a full liquor license. But I thought what worked to our advantage was not having a lot of money and doing a shoestring budget opening. And so the entire feel of the place has the feel of what Renee and I would have done to our house if we, had moved in and just had to renovate it. And so we have, kind of mismatched furniture. We've got, personal artwork on the walls, things that mean something to us, things that were relatively inexpensive but give the place a lot of character. And on top of that, as soon as we opened, we didn't have any money to really donate to community organizations, but being involved in the community was extremely important to us. So we did what you do when you don't have money. You sit on boards, or you donate your space, or you donate food and beer to causes that you believe in. And it was really amazing how the community completely adopted us and embraced us, and vice versa. And that has just been amazing for 16 years here to try or to see how we have really helped each other in this community. That we obviously have a thriving business that's doing great, but by the same token, we're constantly opening ourselves up and giving to local organizations. And so you have all that as a philosophy, and that doesn't even take into account the fact that we were passionate about beer and craft beer, and that's what we wanted to do for a living. That's why we left our corporate jobs. So you combine all of that together, and you had a really interesting mismatch of objectives that we wanted to attain here. When the brew pub started running well about 7 years ago, and we actually were turning a profit, our entrepreneurial spirit overtook us once again, and we decided, we love our beers, we love our products, we love our concept. Let's do that for distribution. Let's try to sell our beers around the state. And in order to do that, we needed a different brewery with a different license. And since we're huge fans of Munich beer gardens, it took us 5 years to find a location that we were happy with, because we would not settle for a place that would not allow for a huge beer garden. So we finally found a place in Ypsilanti that had been vacant for 10 years, that had the capacity for a 150-seat beer garden, as well as on-premise, indoor pub, and had the space also to accommodate the large production facility we were looking at. And so, being the fools we are, we jumped right into a whole different genre of the craft beer industry, which is a packaging facility, and have spent the last 6 years, kind of like we did the first 6 years with the Arbor Brewing Company, making all the mistakes in the book, trying to fix them, and then moving forward and building a strong business out of that. And a lot of the same inspiration went into Corner, which was we didn't have a lot of money when we opened it. It's a very rustic feel to it, very casual, and once again, the community in Ypsilanti completely embraced us. We've lived in Ypsilanti for 20 years, and people were just really begging there for some place that they could call their own, like a local pub that they could just go to. And so it's been amazingly heartwarming to be able to do something for our own community, like just put in a business, which is huge, and create a bunch of jobs. But you're also doing something that you love and are passionate about, and your customers reciprocate by supporting you and embracing you and pushing what you do to all their friends and neighbors. And that has been just an incredibly wonderful outgrowth of what we started here at Arbor Brewing Company. And that's exactly what we hope to do in India, is to take all of this basic philosophy and export it and be integral members of the community in India, be involved in causes, create an environment where people want to be at your brew pub, whether it's for a funeral or for a wedding or for a business meeting. Whatever's going on in your life, you want to be at your local pub.